How would you describe the structure of Meshes of the Afternoon? How does it both follow and challenge traditional story structure?
The structure of the story is well put together. It has all the fundamentals that a movie needs. It has a good structure with a good story and characters that make you wonder why they do the things they do.
What are the themes of this film? How do you interpret this film and the foundational ideas in the story?
There are so many themes that could be used to describe the story. To me, it would have to depend on the perspective people use when watching this film. Because I could say that depression is the theme that is accompanied by the knife. Or it could be love, which would be represented by the rose, and so on and so on.
What do you notice about the visual language of the film? The intentional cinematography, the production design, set and props, the costumes, etc.
I noticed through the film, you slowly start to see who the main character is, because the first few shots are intentional only when we're shown parts of the body to hide the character, until we're introduced to the character. The setting and props play a large role in the film, such as the rose and the dark figure, and without them, I don't think it would have all these twists and turns.
In the first few minutes of the film, did you have any theory of what it would be about?
I would like to say I had a theory when I started watching it the first few minutes, but then it changed when the main character was thrown into some sort of dream loop.
What did you think the dreams meant?
Each dream can mean any number of things depending on body language and facial expressions. The dreams could possibly be nightmares caused to our main character, which is why she keeps reliving the same dream over and over again, with slight modifications to some of the props and other characters.
Do you think the person with the mirror as a face symbolizes anything?
I believe that character could be a paradox, meaning it could also be the other guy, or maybe it's the one giving our character nightmares that could seem unreal. Because throughout the film, we see it drop the props that end up being a knife.
Does this seem like a love tragic film?
In some ways, yes. The girl could see the guy in the same place where the dark figure is standing. She may have confused the both of them to be the same person, or it could have been the main character wasn't loved as much.
What does this flower symbolize?
It symbolizes the start of the loop because the main character grabs it and starts seeing it everywhere she goes, and it doesn't leave her. How would you describe the structure of Meshes of the Afternoon? How does it both follow and challenge traditional story structure?
The story was a bit difficult to follow because there was a lot going on that had me confused. We see the girl walking in the beginning before she runs after the figure. Then she stops and walks into a house. Although we have the intro of the character, the inciting incident of the story, every time we would get to the rising action, the film would take us back to the beginning again. Every time it did, I noticed that it exposed more of her story until we reached the climax of the story being told.
What are themes of this film? How do you interpret this film and the foundational ideas in the story?
Some of the things that I noticed that this film had were anxiety, identity crisis, love, and suicide. The film can be interpreted in different ways. For me, it was about a woman having identity crisis, lost in her own thoughts. The man in the mirror, or the figure in the mirror, was a reflection of the trouble she's going through.
What do you notice about the visual language of the film? The intentional cinematography, the production design, setting props, the costumes, etc.
The visual language is like a dreamlike type of film. The entire film was very ambiguous. The angles of the camera captured every detail from her facial expressions to symbolic objects like the flower, the key, the knife, and the mirror the figure had.
Does the key symbolize the knife, or does the knife symbolize the key?
I believe the key symbolizes the knife. I felt like she was trapped in her own mind, deciding whether she should live or not.
Why do you think the woman is seen sitting down with herself at the table?
The way I saw this scene, again, I felt like she was subconsciously deciding on whether to live or not. So she was playing like this little mind game in her mind, causing her to lose, which is seen by the black stain on her palm when she turned it over to show the key. And then the key turns into a knife.
Is this a dream sequence, or is there another interpretation of what it could mean?
At first, I thought it was a dream sequence, but it definitely isn't. This seems more like a woman struggling with mental illness and possibly depression.
Why does the film end the loop by showing a guy going in her house and finding her deceased with a knife?
I think the man represented a tragic love story. Maybe an ex-partner of hers that hurt her in some way, that drove her to be in this state.
Could the guy be the dark figure with glass for a face, or are they two different beings?
I believe the doppelganger symbolizes her dark side, a reflection of her insecurities, the identity crisis she was going through. Since we see the girl going into the house several times before she is seen holding a knife, the dark figure symbolizes her negative reflection. I believe more of her feeling suicidal or her mental illness.